Hey, Mitch.
Oh, hey, Ed, I was waiting for it to show up. Guess what show I'm thinking of?
Let's see, maybe Leaf Boy.
No, guess again. Come
Uh,
on.
uh, Autumn Man.
No, Ed. Fall. Get it? The leaves falling. I'm
Oh,
thinking of,
the Fall Guy.
yeah, about
Oh,
the
that
stunt
show
man.
that show about the guy and things keep falling on him.
Well, yeah, there was more to it than that. Things just didn't fall on him all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I mean, isn't that why that thing's up there?
Oh, not again.
Let's just start the show. Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thanks so much for joining us. If you are a regular viewer, thanks for coming back. Hey, Mitch, before we start today's topic, how can you find out a little bit more about our show?
Oh, Ed's as easy as falling off a building and getting up and dusting yourself off and shaking hands with James Colburn. All you got to do is smash that subscribe button below, and you will be part of the Mitch and Ed army, and you'll know when we go on another adventure. And while you're there, hit the notification bell, ding ding, and you'll be able to know when that exactly happens. And smash the like button too, because why not?
Why
What are
not?
we doing today, Ed?
We're heading back to 1981, and which is a great year. You know, you've got
Yes,
Escape from New York, you've
Raiders.
got Raiders Lost Ark, Stripes. On TV, though, you had a really cool series that I used to love as a kid called The Fall Guy. It reminded me as a child of the 70s and obviously early 80s as well of the films of Burt Reynolds. It reminded
Reynolds.
me a little
Yeah.
bit like Smokey and the Bandit, which was really hot around that time. And of course, Hooper with also Burt Reynolds, which is about a stuntman. And there was another great movie called, funnily enough, The Stuntman. And
Yeah.
I think that was a time when people really sort of were interested in what stuntmen do, and you found out a little bit more. I remember they had a lot of, behind the scenes
Yep.
specials and things like
Yep.
that when you could see what was happening. And this basically was a story about a stuntman, an unknown
Yeah.
stuntman. Colt Seavers, played by Lee Majors, of course, from $6 Million Man fame. And in between movie shoots, he had to, make some money. So he was a bounty hunter.
Yeah, as one would. No, that was a great show because you're right. I remember the early, well, even the late 70s too, because there was a comic book called The Human Fly. There was Evil Knievel out there. He was
Yes.
always on the ABC's Wide World of Sports, jumping buses, jumping motorcycles, jumping the Grand Canyon. And everybody was in love with stuntmen. And you're right, it was Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds were the champions of all that, like super stunts. You would see all there. And then there was TV shows at the time called That's Incredible, where you
Yes.
had a guy named Dar Robinson who was a big stunt man. He would like fall off the building into a giant airbag and all that. So people were in love with stunts. This is long before CGI and computer effects. This was real deal guys with wires and breaking bones and everything
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And plus, there was Steve McQueen, who was also a huge stunt guy. But Steve McQueen made a movie about a bounty hunter
Yes.
called The Hunter. And I
Yes.
remember that like bounty hunters were still a cool thing because you just had Boba Fett, who just came off The Empire Strikes Back. So Boba Fett and all those bounty hunter stories and stuntmen. So why not smashing them together? And who better to do it but producer Glenn Larson, who already gave us the great $6 Million Man, the Bionic Man. And he came up with this show, believe it or not, because he heard a friend of his sing about it in the song, which became the theme to the show called The Unknown Stuntman.
That's right. Which is actually sung by Lee Majors. And it tells a story and it's great. It name checks a lot of famous actors and actresses of the time. Farrah Fawcett Majors.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't Farrah Fawcett Majors at that point. She was just back to Farrah Fawcett
Yeah,
because
she was they were
she was
going through a
divorced
divorce. Yeah.
from Lee Majors, but it just showed the behind the scenes of what it was like. And that's a great theme song that they actually released in
Yeah.
1985 as a single. And
Yeah.
it was credited to not just Lee Majors, but Colt Seavers. as well.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
So,
Well, like you said, it was one of those shows that it just struck a chord with the general pop culture at the time, and it was populated with great cameos. You'd watch the show, and Colt Seavers, aka Lee Majors, was he'd be working on a film set, and he'd see James Coburn come by. You'd see Farrah Fawcett
mhm,
Majors, then Ryan O'Neal's girlfriend and wife. She was on the pilot episode too.
yes,
And then there was Linda Evans, who also worked with him on a show called The Big Valley, which
mhm.
was set years ago, but she was on Dynasty at the time. So yeah, you would watch The Fall Guy, and it was almost like Batman, the old Batman '66 show, where they'd have cameos from different celebrities that would show up, and Lou Ferrigno came
Yes,
on one episode as the Hulk, and he knocked out Colt Seavers in the episode. It's pretty funny.
that's
But
right.
yeah, no,
They
it
even
was
had there was an episode featuring the Bond girls, where basically
oh
uh, they had Lee Majors with in the artwork was sort of looking with a pistol, and
yeah.
he had Britt Eklund and a number of the Bond girls on as well. So
Oh, I
it
didn't
was a bit
remember
of a
that one.
slice of Hollywood, but also a little bit of action, and of course lots of stunts. Lee Majors, I mean, we all know him really as a $6 million man. It's pretty rare for actors to get 2 hit series in their
Yeah,
lifetime,
yeah.
and this ran from 1981 all the way to 1986. So I had a really good run. And he, as Colt Seavers, was a really likable character. Along the ride with him was his best buddy. He always, called Kid. It was Howie Munson, played by Doug Barr, or Douglas Barr, as he
Douglas
was
Barr. Yeah,
known.
I thought he was his cousin. He was his Ivy League cousin
Yes,
who went to like Yale, which is right down the street here in Connecticut. But he wanted to get into the Hollywood business, so he's
yes,
always tagging along. But he was kind of like a big, good looking nerd, though.
yes. And
Yeah.
along also was I remember having a pinup of Heather Thomas in my study, in one of those 80s styles bikinis, but she played Jodie Banks, gorgeous Heather
That's
Thomas.
right. It was that opening shot where she's coming through the Batwing
That's
doors,
right.
or the saloon doors, and she's got her blue bikini
That
on
was
there.
too much
Yeah,
for an 11-year-old to take.
yeah,
So
I studied that too, but I didn't have a study like you did.
yeah,
But
I
anyway,
had
yeah,
from TV Week, which is like your TV Guide, but a bigger magazine. They used to have posters of the week, and they used
yeah,
to have ABBA and Star Wars and
yep.
Grease, and I've got a few of those. Witness they had brought out even later on, and I had the Heather Thomas one,
Oh
which
yeah.
was great, and
Yeah.
Marky Post from
Marky Post was on there too as the bail bonds person
yeah. So
that they
she
like
joined in
look out
the
for.
second season till the
Yeah, she took over for Joanne Flug.
yes,
Joanne Flug was Lieutenant Dish in the MASH movie, but she was on a lot of like game shows and a lot of other shows in the 70s and 80s, like Match Game. She was like a constant, but she was
yep,
on the series.
yep,
And then they took her out and put in Marky Post. And
yeah.
Marky
Who
Post
played
was somebody too, God rest her soul, that
yes.
you wouldn't mind seeing on a poster on a wall, because she was a looker as well. I mean,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, it was well, it's Hollywood, they were playing all these beautiful people on TV getting into exciting situations. And another character, I suppose, that we should mention, even though it wasn't really an actor, was his car.
Oh, the truck,
Yeah.
that the pickup truck here, the 4x4.
Yeah, with the eagle on the front. Again,
Oh yeah,
it's quite different to, like from Smokey and the Bandit, but it's sort of
yeah,
the art on the bonnet of the car. What do you call it?
yeah.
The bonnet? What do you
No, we
call it?
call it a hood.
Hood, on the hood of the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Was pretty cool, and that got into a lot of stunts. And of
Oh
course,
yeah.
they made a toy out of it because
Not only that, but they had to redesign the truck because they used it for a lot of jumps. And
yes,
what would happen is you got the engine in the front part of it, and when they would do those big jumps, it would land. The whole frame would crack because of
yes,
just the weight of it, and the tires would go blowing off the side. So they had to redesign the truck for the show. So they took the engine and put it in the center of the car instead of the front. So when it landed, it was balanced better, so it
yep.
didn't just blow out the tires. But no, they did that. There is a toy of that car. I've seen Matchbox, not Matchbox,
It
but
was
it's an old
Ertl. Ertl
diecast
brought them out.
Erno, yeah.
Um, and they brought out also a Colt Seavers action figure as
Oh
well,
yeah.
to go with
Oh,
the
I didn't.
car, which was really cool. There was a also they brought out, I don't think it was Ertl, but they brought out a Fall Guy stunt plane, which came with a little figure, and you could have Colt Seaver standing on it, a bit like Tom Cruise was doing in the latest Mission Impossible 7, I think, teaser
one of those
with
movies,
him, you know, doing those plane walking or what have you. So they brought out that, you know, they had a thermos and also
did they have a lunchbox?
They had a lunchbox and thermos.
Oh, the Fall Guy. Now that's something, because you could have a Lee Majors collection, because I had the $6 million man lunchbox as a kid, and then now we have the Fall Guy. Look at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I've only got the Bionic Woman thermos and lunchbox, but not the $6 million man one. And they brought out, there was like a shooting target game as well, and a few things like that. I think they brought out some, you know, like rack toys.
Yeah,
those cheaper sort of knockoffs,
the pharmacy.
as well.
Yeah, the grocery store. Yep.
They had a board game that they brought out where they had to collect bounties with some really nice. One thing I like about those early 80s TV show board games, they had really interesting art. Like is it John Alvin?
Yeah, that's the movie poster guy. Yeah.
And so I'm not saying it was by John Alvin, but it evoked that sort of.
It had that photorealistic artwork.
It was really good. So that's available. And they also did a couple of video games. There was a ColecoVision video game and one for the, I think it was for the ZX Spectrum as well. Yeah.
I had ColecoVision. I had never known there was a Fall Guy video game. You know, it amazes me that the show was as popular as it was, because the first season it took off like gangbusters. It was in the top 10. But then they started moving it around the schedule around here. It was on Thursdays, and then they put it on Saturdays, which is like, you don't go on Saturdays because everybody's out. Unless you're watching Love Boat in Fantasy Island. And then they moved it to Fridays, which was like the worst night of the week. But you know, you never know, because Miami Vice became a huge hit on a Friday night. But
I think by the end of the run, like it was in the, you know, top 20 for most of its life. And then for the last season, I think it was like 80th or 90th.
It dropped, because people couldn't find it. There was no DVRs or VCRs, and people couldn't tape things like they do or on demand. So once you started getting lost in that big schedule, did not do you good.
And it's a hard show. It's a hard show to find. You can't see.
Really?
Yeah, I found that they did release I think it was season 1. I don't think they did season 2 on DVD, but it didn't sell very well. So they haven't released, you know, the other seasons, unfortunately. And
it's no Starsky and Hutch.
It is no Starsky and Hutch. Again, a different vibe, but it was and I can't find it on certainly in Australia, it's not on any of the streaming services.
No, I was gonna say, I don't think it's on Paramount Plus or Prime. I'll check Amazon Prime. They usually have a lot of stuff. I know YouTube has a lot of the videos or clips from the show there, but
but sometimes it's good, you know, you want to binge and watch a whole season. It is great fun. The characters are exciting. There's lots of exciting stunts. I love the opening with the opening song, The Unknown Stuntman, where you can sort of pick the stunts that you see. You know, there's one from the Poseidon Adventure. The one hanging the guy falls from the light. Yes, with the one when he's hanging off the train is from Silver Streak with Gene Wilder. That's actually Gene Wilder. And they, as the show progressed and the seasons progressed, they did put in stunts from the episodes and everything like that. But I have a vivid image of Colt Seavers in his bath at the end of the day with the cigar and the little duck, and I thought, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, no, because he lived on top of some mountain or something. It was like almost a shack.
That's right.
In the middle of nowhere. Yeah, they good. You got to do the Lee Majors acting bit. You ready? Here's the Lee Majors. You ready? You gotta twist up those eyebrows, and that's about it. He was all eyes. His acting's all here. It's all in his eyes. He squints a lot.
It's a great show. It's great fun. If you can find it on DVD, you know, one of those deleted, you know, in a secondhand shop or something like that, certainly pick it up. It's great fun. We should say that it's currently,
No, I was going to say, before you wrap that up, there was a lot of guest stars too. It's fun to see. There's a young Jack Black on there. There's a young Joaquin Phoenix on there.
Sid
There's a
Haig.
lot of who?
Sid
Sid
Haig.
Haig's down there?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say there's a lot of future, big Hollywood
Yes.
celebrities as kids on
Yeah.
that show too. And then you'll see like some legends of old Hollywood, like Eddie Albert will be on there, and I mentioned Linda Evans and James
Yes.
Coburn and such. So a lot of these folks were friends of Lee Majors. I don't think Burt Reynolds was ever on there, but he was in that circle of people that there. And did Hal Needham? He was the guy that made those Hooper and the
Did,
Smokey and the
yes.
Bandit movies. He was a stuntman turned director. I don't know if he ever popped up on that show, but they
Don't.
did a Raiders of the Lost Ark under the truck chase. It was through a cornfield. And how they did that is they dug a trench, and the stuntman goes under the truck and he grabs the like a rod or an axle, and like Indiana Jones did.
Yeah.
But they did do that one in there too. So I'm wondering if a lot of the guys that were on the indie movies worked on that show as well, like Glenn Randall Jr. and
Yes.
Vic Armstrong. So anyway, that's what I was going to say. I wonder if you can get the credits, go look and see if there's some notable stunt folks on there. But
I'm sure there are, because there are some, pretty cool stunts. That's what the show's about, really. So they need to
Bounty Hunter.
absolutely.
But they never did a reunion show. They never
No.
did a return to Fall Guy, or the Fall Guy Falls Again. But right now, as we speak, I think almost wrapping up in your neck of the woods.
It is in Sydney. They're filming
a movie.
Yeah, they're filming a movie version, The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling, and from the director of Bullet Train and Deadpool 2. So I know that there was people, it's probably like in New York, people complain, where they shut down a whole city block or whatever for a car chase or what have you. But yeah, Ryan Gosling is playing Colt Seaver. I don't know, it's a weird sort of property to do a film version, because I'm not sure a lot of the younger people would even know about The Fall Guy. So I suppose it's just like
does.
Well, yeah. And I suppose it's like just a new property to them. But they just had also Emily Blunt join the cast, I read. So
maybe she's going to play the Heather Locklear character.
She could be. But I feel
Heather Thomas.
Oh, yes.
Locklear.
There you got me.
I knew I was going to skip. There was a lot of Heathers back in the 80s.
Yes, that's true. So anyway, so that's coming out most likely next year. It's just filming in Sydney at the moment, which is doubling for Los Angeles or New York.
Los Angeles,
like
as
that.
one would.
Yes.
Lord knows why you don't just film in LA.
Because, well, with our dollar only, 60 cents to the US dollar. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Cheaper to keep her.
That's right. The bang for the buck is a lot better than it is. But the Fall Guy is an awesome show, well worth watching if you can find it. And some of those toys you can get are not too expensive on eBay. And that truck, it's worth it just to get that the Erdl truck, because I always wanted one of those. I always wanted one of the Hardy Boys vans. In fact, Glenn A. Larson, he was involved in Hardy Boys,
Battlestar Galactica.
He also Battlestar Galactica. He also did Manimal. He also did Automan, not Autumn Man, but Automan.
He wasn't Magnum, was he?
He was Magnum.
Magnum PI, yeah.
Then a lot of his shows had
Tales of the Gold Monkey. What?
Interesting.
Yeah, they always had a focus on a car.
What about Lee Majors? Have you ever thought of getting Lee
Majors?
I
thought about Lee Majors in the year of 2020. Thank you, COVID. I was planning on getting Lee Majors and Lindsay Wagner. And I know now that Heather Thomas does do conventions now, because the same booking agent said, why don't you do a reunion? But I don't think Douglas Barr went on to own a wine vineyard called Hollywood and Wine.
That's quite good.
To Hollywood and Vine. And I know he's very successful at that. I think he's 72 years old now. Yep. Lee Majors is in his 80s. Heather's probably in mid 60s. But, everyone got old. They're all still with us, though. Except Marky Post, God rest her soul.
Yes.
She passed away, I think, earlier this year. So that's too bad.
But I think that would be a Fall Guy. And, of course, you get, again, talking about bang for your buck, you get a bit of
Bionic,
the Bionic Man. I think would be pretty impressive having the $6 million man there as well. So who knows?
When are they ever making that reboot? That's been talked about forever. Jim Carrey, Mark Wahlberg. How many times the $6 Million Man movie's been thrown around?
Yes, yeah. Well,
You don't get much with $6 million now.
No. That's
And it
how
would
much
have to be like the $6 billion man.
it would. Yes. Yeah, I think so. So anyway,
That's it.
That's it. The Fall Guy. It's a great show. Classic 80s TV series. Lots of stunts, lots of good characters. Check it out if you can find it. You know what else you can check out, Mitch?
Our other library of shows.
Sure. How would you do that?
And it is simple as falling from a tall building. I'm not going to sing it, but all you got to do is hit the subscribe button below, punch it like you're hitting Cold Seavers right in the face, and you too can be subscribed to our TV show or YouTube show, and you'll find out all about it. And there you go, because you're the unknown stunt man that makes something out of
makes Redford.
There you go. No, it makes Clint Eastwood the star.
Oh, I'm sure it was Redford. Anyway, they name dropped Sally Field. They do a whole Field.
I've been seen with Farrah.
Check it out. Check out our other episodes. And of course, if you've got a comment, we'd love to read it and we'll reply. And also, if you've got an idea for a show that you would like us to cover, we'd be more than happy to. So put those suggestions in the comments below. Signing off, this is Ed Dollister.
This is Hollywood Mitch Halleck.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.